third one. Day 3. Not really day 3, I'm just really tired. In this one, we're seeing the difference between endothermic and exothermic. Endothermic is when that substance absorbs heat, and exothermic is what releases heat. Exothermic would mean something has so much heat in it and it gives off the heat, kind of like a heater. A heater has heat stored in it and it gives it off. An example of endothermic would be when you're cooking an egg on the stove. You have the egg on the stove and heat is presented. It takes the heat, which makes the egg hot, which you don't want to touch right away because you would burn your hand, but it would absorb the heat and take it as its own and just, do what it needs to do. In order for it to be endothermic though, and take in the heat must be presented. So like marshmallows at a campfire. Heat is presented, the marshmallows taken the fire. And then you heat it too much and the marshmallow falls in the fire. An example of exothermic is freezing water. The heat in the water would be kind of pushed out. You would have a glass of water here, and you freeze the water, so it let off heat and it cooled itself. So that means the water went from a liquid, which was warm and not as cold, to a solid when it was froze. It means it's like super cold. So to make it simple, endothermic is when something takes heat around it, kind of like an egg on a burner, and uses it as its own. So it takes the heat and gives it to itself. Exothermic would be when something cools down and gives its surroundings heat. Endothermic heats itself up, and exothermic is when it lets off the heat and it cools itself down, if that makes sense. Yeah.